it's really not feasible to book a co-star here if you're from LA, because there can be, 9 or 10 days in between the fitting, or is it if they don't even have a callback, and then to when you would actually shoot. And then that shoot date is often changed. So, I mean, if you really don't live here and you don't have a place to stay, then that is putting you in a really bad situation that you're a hole that you're not going to be able to dig out of. It's going to take you a long time.
All right. Thanks for being here, everyone. We are about to dive in with Classic Talent Agency's agent, Dayla McClincy, and talk about their expansion to multiple markets throughout the U.S. and how their communication is working with their actors and how we're continuing to grow as a Southeast market. Also, everyone, we've looked at the analytics and we've seen that over half of our viewers are not subscribed. So make sure to hit that follow button or smash that subscribe button right now as we are ramping up for another incredible episode. Thanks for being here. Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time, welcome to the show. We bring in some of the top actors, different agents, casting directors, major industry pros here in the Southeast market to help improve your journey in a big way. And if you're coming back, you already know that. Thank you so much for returning. I got to give a quick shout out. And this was a comment that we got on YouTube. And by the way, everyone, if you are listening but not watching on YouTube, I encourage you to check us out on YouTube. We also have our sister show, Talent Agent Talk, that we produce, which is hosted by talent agent Jason Lockhart, where we go into booking stories with actors here in the Southeast. So be sure to check that out. And one of our YouTube comments is from Michael Ray Vaughn. He said, I absolutely love this channel. Every time I watch, I get even more motivated to continue this acting journey. Please don't stop and continue to bless us with this amazing content. Michael, thank you for that comment. And I'm so glad to be motivating you in a big way and to everybody else watching. So thank you for being here. So let's get started for another incredible episode. We have a talent agent in the house from Classic Talent Agency, everyone. Give it up in the comments for Dayla McClincy. What's up, Dayla?
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm glad that you're here. And so you guys are really expanding as Classic Talent Agency. And one of the biggest things I know that we discussed a little bit as we were, getting set up here was you guys expanding to Los Angeles and New York. Can you talk about, I guess first, like what inspired that?
So Laura Vincent is the owner of Classic Talent Agency, and she relocated here from LA, and she was in the entertainment industry there. So she opened an office here, and I think it's always been a dream of hers and a goal to expand Classic Talent Agency's footprint and, just their presence. And LA was always kind of part of that. And so it's just been a natural progression. And so it's been exciting. And then LA was the most difficult and challenging, I think, because they require so many, hoops to jump through, background checks, character affidavits, all that stuff. And once we got that set up, we moved on to New York and then got that set up. And then one of our agents relocated to Austin. So we went ahead and opened up an office there to get those breakdowns as well.
And so what does that look like as an agency to kind of open up those offices? Does it mean like now you're just submitting your talent roster all over the country? Or is it, well, now we need a roster in LA, now we need a roster in New York, now we need a roster in Austin? What does that look like on the back end?
Yeah, so we create a roster of actors in each market. So the progression to LA was probably the easiest because we had several actors in the Southeast that had moved to LA, that follow that dream kind of thing. And so they were able to stay on our roster, and we were able to get them breakdowns and, auditions from that market. And they were able to commercial, theatrical, but it's also, I feel like it's also a very difficult market to break into because it's so big. There's so many casting directors and there's so many actors. So it's, that's probably been the most difficult. But we've had some of those actors subsequently move back here because it's so difficult out there.
So I know actors have to, they're always trying to get jobs and they feel like that's a struggle to them. But I feel like it's not only actors, it's also the agents, because the agents have to establish the relationships with casting so then they can pitch the actor and get them the opportunity. So the struggle actually starts with the agent. Am I right?
Yes, that's true. It's kind of like a dance that we have to do, and we're trying to get them to first recognize us and then look at our roster and choose some of our actors to audition. So when we get those wins, it's like a breakthrough for us. And it was definitely slow at first, but as we're getting to know the actors and did the whole market there, I think we've really made great strides just since probably before the strike and then definitely more afterwards. So
awesome.
But we work with some of the casting directors, online workshops, and we try to go out there. So Andy Arias is my partner. We kind of are heading the LA and New York expansion. And so we've been doing that for a couple years.
Wow.
So it's been slow, but we feel like we are making progress.
I love that you just brought up how you've been doing this for a couple of years. Because
Yes.
I think it's like, I think people think of it like that. Like, okay, yeah, like we're going to open up an LA office and, probably the actors on the roster, month one, they're like, get me in the office with all the LA people. It's like, it doesn't have nothing like worth fighting for. Like that, like you really got to earn, like happens overnight. It takes time, whether it's like getting the body that you want or the career that you're wishing for. Like it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. So like, I love that, like the transparency and honesty of like, it's taken years for us that we've been working on this and we're like starting to get it moving now.
Yes. And we've actually, we have Zoom meetings with the actors there that we can't meet with in person. And we are transparent with them up front saying we're only a couple years into this market. So we're not going to be able to pick up the phone and call this casting director and get you seen if you are not, selected to audition. We're just not there yet. So
right.
Yeah. And we just want them to understand that.
Dayla, call Sheila Jaffe, get her on the phone.
Yes, that's not happening. So I mean, we can send an email and we pitch them, but we do our best, but we're also not trying to step on anyone's toes and just make a respected presence. So.
Get Seen Studios was founded in helping connect actors with industry pros. We bring in the top Southeast agents and casting directors to really help you get seen by the people that matter. And we really focus this on two different ways, everyone. In one of our signature in-person classes or workshops called the Get Seen 360. You get to have a self-tape evaluated, then you get to work on the callback, and then you also work on a cold read. You spend 5 hours with an industry pro in the Get Seen 360. And then for our online class, and this signature workshop we have is called the Perfect Submission. And this mimics the Actors Access submission process, where you send in a headshot, a self-tape, and a demo reel or clip. And so this is an incredible way to really get feedback on what that submission is looking like. And so everyone, as a thank you for listening, every single month, we're going to choose one winner, and you get to choose one of these classes. Any class that you want will be absolutely free, and this will be our way of saying thank you so much. So all you got to do is head to the pinned comment below, put in your name and email, and you will be entered to win. All you got to do is put in your email one time, and you will live there forever, which means if you submit this month, you could win 3 months from now, 4 months from now. So go ahead and head to that pinned comment now, and good luck. Yeah. So how do you, what's the best way when it comes for an actor, communication wise, Because I think actors are always trying to like get as many opportunities as they can. You know, so if you have actors in Los Angeles, they're probably wanting to get opportunities in the Southeast. You have actors in the Southeast, they're wanting to get opportunities in Los Angeles. What's the best way, would you say, to go about that?
Well, because we have the three main markets like LA, New York, Southeast, we have separate rosters for all of those markets. And we do have some that can work bi-coastal. You know, they have family that live in New York, or their family is from the Southeast and they've recently moved to LA and they have an apartment there. We'll submit them, but we also want them to know that what exactly local hire means, because we, you know, just being in this industry for a while, I know that the Southeast casting directors have been burned by people saying that they are local hire when they're not really. So we just make sure that they are really aware what local hire means. So
can you elaborate on that? Because I think a lot of actors, that's like one of the things I try to really elaborate for the actors that we work with that Get Seen. It's like, I know you think you want to work local in all these places, but like what happens when tomorrow you get a call and you have to be there on Monday and the plane ticket is $1,200?
Right.
Like you've already lost on
thousands,
this job.
yes.
And it's like, are you really prepared for that? And I think the actor, for like, you know, just like, yeah, no, I'm ready, let's do it. But like when it really comes time to do it, like, I don't know, you know, so like, can you kind of elaborate, you know, even further than what I just did on like what exactly local hire means?
Yeah. So, you know, well, New York, local hire will go so far for some of these breakdowns is they want to see your New York driver's license. So they're the most stringent.
Louisiana does that sometimes.
Yes, yes. So we just want them to know that it's really not feasible to book a co-star here if you're from LA, because there can be, you know, 9 or 10 days in between the fitting, or if they don't even have a callback, you know, and then to when you would actually shoot. And then that shoot date is often changed. So, I mean, if you really don't live here and you don't have a place to stay, then that is putting you in a really bad situation that you're a hole that you're not going to be able to dig out of. It's going to take you a long time, you know?
Yeah.
Because, or else they'll say they can't do it. And that, it just trickles down. It's bad for everyone. So we just really try to avoid those situations.
Can you continue that story though? Like let's take a fake example of an actor saying like, I can't do it, right? And then like the domino effect of like negativity that happens, right? Because like we've just talked about how the years you've been working on these relationships, right?
Right.
Finally, you get a booking with someone, you know, let's say you rep me and I'm like, oh, sorry, Dayla, I'm just like, I don't have the money. I can't make it. Like I just ruined all of that potential work, effort, energy you've created with that New York office.
Right. Especially if we said, yes, they are local hire, and then somebody along the line was dishonest and that's not the case. Or they say, you know, now they're unavailable because they just don't have the funds, or, you know, it makes us look bad. It's bad. You're putting the casting director in a bad spot because now they have to turn around and tell, you know, the producers network that this client that they have, you know, approved is no longer available. And then that puts them back at square one. And it's just not a good situation for it. And for the actor themselves, they're not going to be asked back because they just burn them and we're dishonest. So it's just better to know the whole entire situation and be honest from the beginning. That's just the best case scenario.
Yeah, I always tell actors that if you're gonna say you're gonna be local, you have to now play the part of like being someone that like lives in that city.
Yes.
So it's like you better be there. Like you got to play the part of being someone that lives in New York or LA, or if you want to work in Atlanta, like you have to like legit play that part. So then that means you got to you don't, wherever you live, that's no longer your address.
Right.
Like you have an address in it wherever that other city is. Like, and you better have it memorized.
Yes, and,
like
and the flight schedules, who goes in and out, and
like
and at what time.
You better be ready. Like you have to be. So that's so true. So then for your different rosters, New York, LA, like it doesn't mean everyone is getting everything.
Correct. In fact, most are not. They're just staying in their local market. We're just submitting them for the breakdowns that are in their local market, and then
you're not getting pushback on that.
I mean, we do get some, you know, and we will if they say no. I'm going to be out there for the summer, and I'm staying with, you know, my parents, and they live there. Then sure, yeah, we'll submit you all day long. But you know, we have some people in Florida, you know, that will work local hire here, and we know, okay, they're going to drive and they're going to get here, you know. So, and then now I see a lot of the casting directors wanting you to slate your home city and state, and then where you're taping from. And to me, it seems like they're saying that because they need that information. It just,
but you know, I'm pretty sure the new SAG rules said they're not allowed to do that.
Yeah,
but they're doing it.
I don't, yeah.
That's a different episode.
That's a different episode.
So we kind of chatted before we got started that we actually met like 10 years ago. Your daughter was on a commercial that I was also on.
Yes.
Where you weren't an agent then though.
No, I was just the mom.
You were just the momager.
Forced to be there. Yeah. Oh, I hate that word.
Well, I mean it in a good way.
I know.
In a good way.
It is a word.
I mean, the truth is,
managing
like,
as a mom.
You have to,
you have
right?
to, yeah.
You're the
all
Uber
moms
driver.
manage their kids, so.
Yeah. So how did you end up finding your way into this if you were not the momager? You were just, you know, you were there with your daughter. You know, so your daughter found, you know, was into it first. How did you end up here?
You know, it's been crazy. I never ever had any desire to be an agent or, you know, working for an agency, anything like that. It just it kind of fell into my lap. But looking back, kind of everything, you know, I've done has led me kind of to this path, which is interesting. So I graduated from Ohio State University and with a history degree, and you know, what am I going to do with that? But it helped when the girls were getting auditions. I would immediately start researching. If anything, you know, history teaches you to research and quickly. And so I would quickly read the script, you know, if they had it, and the sides, and research all of the producers and directors, that type of thing. And then also getting to know all of the actors as well, and seeing them on the call sheet. So I feel like I feel kind of like a stalker because I know all the casting directors and the actors and, you know, the other agents here, but it was from a different point of view, like the mom point of view. And so they don't know me, but I feel like I know them pretty well. You know, the casting directors used to have these workshops, hours long workshops. And so I would take the kids and I would sit in the back and hear everything, what they liked to see, what they didn't like, you know, that type of thing. And then as a mom, you have to, or the guardian, on set, you have to be able to see your child at all times, like eyes on. So when they would take the actors to another room, like in the studios, there's video village. So the mom is kind of like this invisible shadow lurking in the back. And we would see the producers, the directors, all of that. And we would just see this process that felt like we weren't supposed to see, but we were there. We just had to be there. And I would see how even the casting process, they would be on their iPad going through the self-tapes of the casting director's choice. And then I would hear how the discussion went for them to select
and they were
the
like
actors.
Choosing the next episodes.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so that was really interesting. And, you know, I didn't think of anything of it then, but looking back now, it's like, okay, well, I know that, you know, Chase Paris or Jack, what they prefer and what they don't like. And it's just interesting to look back on it now and see how that has helped me do what I'm doing now.
Wow, I love that. And I love what you said in the beginning of that. You were like, you know, everything that I've done led to this. And I just think that's so true and so important for the listeners to remember that if you feel stuck at any moment and like where you're at, like understand that it's actually just like a fantastic stepping stone to where you're gonna be in a really positive way. There's different things that like we go through that when we look back, we're like, oh my God, thank goodness for that. But that's not what we were feeling when we were going through it. We
Right.
felt lost or felt stuck or felt like, why am I doing this? And then when you look back to it, you're like, wow, that was so helpful for this moment.
That's so true. That's so true because I hate going to set as a parent. I just, and in fact, I had both girls get the CHESP, that California High School Efficiency Test. Something different. It's called something different now, and you actually can do it online. But we would fly there as soon as they were eligible to take it, and then I don't have to go to set with them.
Oh,
So, but yeah, I would say it was kind of like I couldn't really. I was there like months on end, just as a parent, on set guardian, just kind of overseeing what they're doing, but I just had to be there. And it was hard for me to do anything like, online or any other type of job. I was kind of in accounting and taxes and payroll is what I was doing. So it was very difficult. It was not feasible to do that on set because I always had to be with them. So it was kind of like that was put on hold to do, just to be there with them. But in hindsight, I was gaining valuable knowledge and insight into this industry that I never thought I would be a part of in this way. So now I'm really grateful for that. So
100%. How did you deal with, and I feel like it's so interesting because I feel like this comes up a lot on this show, which is this like, I had to dive into something I certainly didn't know necessarily how to do. And I had to just kind of have faith and like be bold and tenacious and just go for it. How did you get past what could be like impossible imposter syndrome?
yes, that's what I know. I mentioned that too. That's how I felt. And I think it's taken a couple years for me to even realize that, oh, I am agenting, and just knowing the other great agents in this city and this market is just like, oh, to be part of that is, is just exciting, but also, whoa,
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
that I ever expected. But I'm very thankful to do it. And I actually love it. And I feel like everything that I've done has just enabled me to be really good at it. And so, even just from the taping my kids, but also a lot of other people. I think I have literally thousands of tapes on,
On a hard drive
yes,
somewhere.
on two hard drives.
Two hard drives, yeah.
Just from being in the industry. And that's just, when the kids started, like a decade ago. I know I even saw you at auditions a decade ago. And it was just different than, we would just go in person, and that was so nice. So
Yeah.
it's just
How have you and your daughters even adjusted to that? I mean, that's such a good point since you've been obviously assisting them on their journey. I mean, it's funny because I've been a part of it the whole way. Like I'm like, oh, it just has like slowly transitioned. But if you really think about it, like huge transition in like only 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Of
yes.
like, oh yeah, we're like always usually in person, maybe a self-tape here and there, to then we're rarely in person. I mean, I have an in-person callback for a commercial and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go in person,
Yeah.
how did you as a mom like support your kids and adjust to those things as they changed?
Well, so I have 4 kids, so it wasn't feasible to always, to drive downtown and, to get tapes just on a whim. They came in so fast. And I feel like the volume was a lot higher then than it is now. And a lot of last minute things, especially commercial, was pretty big. But luckily, my son has always been involved in, camera work, lighting, all that. So he kind of set us up so we were able to self-tape at home. So that was great for the self-tape aspect. But yeah, I think it's probably the biggest challenge for actors is that transition from going in the room and then having to put yourself on self-tape for most everything. I think it's challenging mentally, really, because there's just something to be said about getting ready, driving downtown, going in, seeing fellow actors, and then going in the room, having the nerves and excitement was all part of it, and then finishing it, meeting the casting director and coming out, and then you feel this like sense of accomplishment that, okay, you did it, you're in the game. But, being at home, doing a self-tape, sending it in, and it's kind of like creates a sense of isolation over and over and over and over again,
Wow.
And so I think that's the biggest challenge that I've seen over the last decade. I mean, there are great pros to the self-tape for actors and casting directors and for the whole industry. But, I think that's probably the biggest challenge for actors as well, because even that creates a sense of imposter syndrome. Like, am I really doing this? Or am I just playing pretend, taping this and not really in the game? So.
Wow. Yeah. I haven't heard it broken down like that before. And I think you just spoke about it beautifully and so accurately of like, at least if you didn't get it in the in-person scenario, like I ran into my actor buddy and I gave some people some hugs and the casting director said, good job.
Yeah.
And I felt like I did a good job and I was excited and nervous and felt the sense of accomplishment, like you said. And yeah, that's completely gone.
Yeah.
I wonder how do you think there's a way that we can, I don't know, like, cause like, again, you described it perfectly. So I'm like, well, can we somehow do that in the self-tape? I don't know how we do it, but if we could do that somehow in the self-tape, then we'd maybe be feeling better.
Yeah. And, some actors are really great in the room. That's where they can book the room. And some actors are just great at self-taping and they're, great on camera. But vice versa, that's all, they're not so great. And so
you got to be able to do both.
Yes. And that's another challenge. You have to be good at both, unfortunately. And, so it's almost like a different type of training and a different type of tool that you need to have to be successful now. So
100%. I mean, I think, it's interesting because I'm like, obviously in-person classes are so important and, but then there's like another sense to me that I'm like, or should we like just be training online constantly because that's where you book the jobs on like via self-tape, Zoom callbacks. That's it. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's interesting. And I'm like, even myself, like I'm battling that in how we're helping our own actors. Cause I'm like, I actually believe now, like you book and have a successful career via online. So that's where you need to keep practicing.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just so much more, everything, the entire industry has just shifted digitally now. So
everything,
and like I said, it is good, but it's also bad. And I just think that actors need to be aware of that and, kind of keep their mental health in check and try to, do classes, there's a lot of things in the Southeast. I think there's a lot more groups and classes, get-togethers, meetups that you can get involved with because, LA has had that forever. But here, I think that over the last decade, that's really built up. So there's so many more opportunities for actors to do that. And I think it is important to do that, to feel that sense of community and, just belonging and that you are doing this and you are in it together. And you're also seeing other actors' struggles. And then when you do talk to casting directors and other agents, they're also saying, what they're seeing and the struggles that they're going through. And I think that is just so helpful.
Yeah. Are there, speaking of like the struggles, are there, other than that, the comparison of the self-tape to the in-person, are there any other struggles that you're seeing actors going through that, and then what advice do you have for them?
I feel like in the Southeast, it's easier to live your life, have your life, and then also be an actor. But I feel it's a different dynamic with the LA actors. Hollywood it's like it's in your face.
Yeah.
And so if you are not doing something else and you're not successful, it's really it's harder, I think, on you mentally. So I just think that as a Southeast actor, just try to have those other avenues of like income for one. When I see actors that are needing to book something to put food on the table, or or they're so invested in a role that they just want it so bad that they're not free to make choices or put themselves in the character, and just not have that attitude of, I'm doing this, just having fun with it, and enjoying the experience of it and the journey. And, if you have so much invested in it, then it really shows. And, the devastation of not hearing any feedback or, not booking it is that much harder.
Yeah.
So that's, I think another struggle. And I know it's just sounds so cliche, but audition and forget about it. That is way harder, to do than
Totally.
said,
Yeah.
but
Easier said than done,
yes.
for sure. But I mean, you're so right. And it's that balance within just life. It doesn't matter if you're an actor or doing something else, like that balance is important. And I think balance can be different for each individual person. Like, some people, they're happy being so all in. And so like, I think that's okay. But
Yeah.
at what point does it become like, I think as soon as you're feeling not happy, that's when like your balance for you as an individual is a little bit off, meaning you need to get into maybe something else that's also maybe creative, or maybe it is financial. You mentioned like being able to have another job, so you're not so focused on this financially. I mean, I just think all of those things are so important. But how does an actor maybe get out of their own way then? Because you might have somebody that's thinking, oh, well, I want to be all in so they know that I'm serious. So like I'm giving it my all so like I can get it and book it and achieve it. And I've heard these stories of people sleeping in their car and on the streets,
Right.
and like figuring it out. Like I have to do that. I have to be a starving artist. I have to struggle. Like I don't think that's true. Like I don't think that does have to be the thing. So like how can they like get out of their own way, do you think?
I think it's just for them just to have an understanding that it's okay to do something else even for a while. I mean, it's never too late to act, So you can be on that path, but you also can go down other paths, and don't miss out or ignore opportunities that can come along, because they may have come along for a reason, and everyone's on their path for not necessarily because that is, what they're supposed to do, but you also end up on a path because of consequences of maybe something that you didn't do, or you let the ball drop, and
wow.
You have to deal with those consequences, and you need to deal with them. So, acting doesn't trump all. You've got to live your life and deal with what's in front of you, and make sure that you're happy and healthy overall,
Yes, man. I love that. I think that's so true. And the other paths and taking a break or a pause. I mean, I think that is so powerful and so true. And I think it can be forgotten. It's like, it's not you giving up. It's a
Right.
pause, or even if you decide not to go back to it, it's still not giving up. It's deciding to put your energy somewhere else.
Yes.
It's like, I love that. I think that's so powerful.
And just know that that's okay, because that is also part of an actor's path, to do. I mean, it just makes you a better person the more skills you have, and every experience can lend to yourself as an actor, because you're going to be able to bring that into different characters, and you never know, what character is going to, need a skill or have the backstory of something that you've experienced, or even just somebody that you are friends with that has experienced that. Just by opening yourself up to that, you are making yourself a better actor in the long run.
So true. Yeah. I like to say, I'm like, this is like the only job in the world where you can like go do anything you want and like be like, I'll put it on my resume.
Right.
Like it
Yes.
doesn't matter. It's like, so like you can do anything that you want and it's going to like serve you in some way. Right.
Yes.
Like a role might come up, right, where you're like, oh, wow, I can use that or what have you. So that's such a good point.
Yes. And also, I think it's also good to communication, like with your agent too, to let them know what you're doing and, and how available you are. And, if you're honest, it's just a win-win for everyone as well. But also know that it's okay. And we understand that you are developing those life experiences and taking advantage of those opportunities that are vital to yourself, either in your family or just in your path for whatever, your career or, your income, like your main source of income. We understand that those things are needed. Like you have to do that. And we don't hold it against you,
Right.
So that's another thing that I feel like actors are hesitant to say, I have to book out because I need to do this, but just explain it. And, it's so understandable. So
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think as an actor, you get stuck in your mind like, they're going to judge me or be mad at me. And I've just never heard it. I've never seen it be the case. If anything, they're like, oh my God, you went to go see Europe or, you went to Hawaii. Incredible. Like, you missed the Golden Corral commercial. Oh, well, like get the next one.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There's just so many opportunities. So you can't think like that. Because if you have that mindset, you are holding yourself back from living.
Yes.
And so that's not good.
Right. Yeah. What do you think the future of the business is going to be, like all of us being available in all the markets now that you've kind of, expanded the agency in that way and you're seeing some actors do it? Do you think that's where the future is going to be? Like all the agents, like just because everything's online, so it's like an email away,
Right.
is like everything just, is everyone going to be everywhere?
I don't think so. And I also don't think that would be good because I just feel like you should kind of bloom where you're planted. And also local casting directors are hired for a reason because they know that market. And I feel like you need to thrive in that market before you are just spread thin across all the markets because it's so much work and it's not going to work in your favor because it's too much. You cannot be, a local hire in every market. You can't, and you can't build those relationships and with the casting directors and with your fellow actors, and they just can't get to know you if you're not there. So we keep that separate. And you always have actors that can do, bi-coastal work or whatever, but for the most part, it's good to just stay where you are. And if you make a complete move, then that's understandable. That's different. But I don't see that. I don't think people can be spread that thin. So
yeah, and I love what you said about like bloom where you're planted, and I think that's such a good point to just focus where you are. I can't tell you the amount of actors that incredible resumes, incredible reels. They're like, all right, now I'm going to LA, and I mean this so respectfully, by the way, but
Right.
like a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, back. And like I went out there, nothing happened. And all I did was lose all of my momentum that I had, that I was like crushing it here, and I left it and for nothing to happen. And it's just interesting, and there is something to be said about that, about like bloom where you're planted and like put your energy there. And I think so many, it's like, yeah, we only have so much energy. So like you
Right.
just can't, like why separate it and put it in these other markets if you're finding success in one? Like put all that energy there.
Right. And it also, even just the accents, the local accents, we've seen what happens when some other people, LA people come here and try to do the Southern accent. the local casting knows who can do it and
Sure,
who can't.
sure.
And that's important to the truth of the story in the project. So that's just important. Their place is so important to know that. And it has so much value on a project. So I feel like that's just something that will never change.
Yeah. Well, Dayla, I think this brings us to our spotlight sign off.
Oh.
5 questions to end strong together. But I've really enjoyed this time connecting with you.
Yes,
I'm sorry for it to end.
Oh, I know. I think we could talk.
We could keep it going. But the first question of 5 is what's something that you're super grateful for today?
Well, of course, my kids, family. But as far as the industry, I'm really grateful for kind of like the crazy path and all of the experiences, all of the, good and bad that have brought me to where I am and to be able to do this. And I love the entertainment industry in the Southeast. It's been so great to be a part of. And I just from seeing some of the other markets and being there for, different amounts of time, it just feels like home, and everyone is just in it together. And it is really like a family here. And I just don't think there's anything like it. So I'm really grateful to be a part of that.
I totally agree with that. The Southeast is a special market. And we are like an incredible community. And I love that. I can't agree more.
Yeah.
What is a film, TV show, movie, or book that changed the trajectory of your life?
Oh, film, TV, or book. For a movie, I would say The Majestic with Jim Carrey. I just think that was a really underrated movie. I think it came out in 2001. But I would say that. It's just The Majestic is about, it's a theater that they've renovated and brought back to life. But it's just such a great story, and cinematically it's beautiful. And I would say that is that. But
Okay, all right, awesome. What was it about the movie though that like just because you feel like is underrated? Like what?
Yeah, I just Martin Landau and Jim Carrey. Everyone knows him as the funny guy, but it was a drama, and it was just really.
I feel like he went on a run where he was doing a lot of dramas. Yeah.
Yeah, but that one just kind of flew under the radar, and I think it was. I don't know what kind of factors led it to that, but I think it really was one that would have been like a blockbuster, Oscar-worthy movie.
Yeah.
So,
what's something within your daily routine that you really cherish?
That I cherish.
I feel like this question's in here that I'm like trying to steal from people because I feel like I have no routine in my life. I'm like always changing, and I'm like eventually I'll talk to someone and I'll like be like I'm gonna use that.
Oh no. Okay. Well, mine I guess is just really boring, but it's important like to my dogs. But it's just being an agent and being online is having the breakdowns. It never ends. It never stops. They always are rolling in. And then we've got the LA market. So we're going until 8 or 9, 10, they're still rolling in. So you kind of have to force yourself to take a break and step away. So for me, it would just be to walk out the door and take my dogs for a walk and just step away. Also, it's the most important part of they're most excited about that. So I don't want to deny them that, and we'll have a couple days of rain and they don't get to go out. I feel bad for them. So I would say that because it is refreshing just to put on your shoes, walk out the door, take deep breaths, and just enjoy nature.
Yeah, no, that's so true. You're right. I needed to hear that one. That was the one I needed to hear today. Because I feel like I go on and off with that. Sometimes I'm really good at like taking a break and stopping, walking the dog, and then sometimes I get tunnel vision.
Yeah, tunnel vision, and projects one after the other. They're coming in, emails, and things that you have to take care of. But it's also really important to step away and go outside.
I mean, there's studies that say like if you do like a 55-minute timer and then take like a 5-minute break or 10-minute break, like you're actually more productive when you take the breaks as opposed to working straight through. And so do you feel that? Do you feel like you're actually like reinvigorated.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I come back, it's like, it's a fresh palette. Start all over and, do your thing. And it's, it takes
Exactly.
everything starts getting mundane when you're doing it for hours and hours on end. And, I just think getting some fresh air and a change of scenery is probably the biggest thing.
So true. So true.
When you're going through anything too, just you feel stagnant in anything, or, you start to get those feelings of negativity start creeping in. I'll talk to actors and say, just get a change of scenery. And that doesn't mean, spend money on a vacation, get out of town. If you can do that, great. But just walk out the door and, get some clarity.
Yes. Yeah. A walk around the block can do wonders.
Wonders. Yes.
What's something you're currently trying to improve in your life right now?
Okay. I would say gratitude for the little things, and the little wins are big wins, turn into big wins. So they just add up. And for this industry, I would say it's that. My partner, Annie, she is always glass half full. And I wouldn't say I'm glass half empty, but more like a realist, like, okay, we need to put more in the glass. We need to see more. We need to see the water rising. But she's really able to see the silver lining in things. So I'm trying to jump on board and just
you're not trying, you're
grateful.
doing.
Yes, I am.
You're not
that.
trying. You're getting better
and
better each and every day.
Grateful for every little thing. So just one step in front of the other, and you'll get there. And so.
Yeah, no, that's good. I had an actor on the podcast, Hunter Burke, and he said, "I'm grateful for my car," and I was like, "Man, that's so good. Like that's like a small one. I mean, not even small. Car's a huge thing, but like, rarely are we just like." Thank God my car started again.
Yeah,
you know
until something happens.
Right.
And then, I went to in Park last week, and my car was in the parking garage, and they, it got smashed into. They smashed my window and broke my door. So I am using my daughter's car today because my car's out of service. So yeah, I really appreciate my car, and and that may seem like a little thing, but that is a big thing.
No, it's super big thing. Super big thing. Yeah. All right. So last question, Dayla. We went over a bunch of stuff, but whether it's something we went over, something that maybe you want to make sure we hit, if the audience could get one piece of advice that you really want them to hear, what do you want that to be?
So I would say in the entertainment industry side of it, my piece of advice is that if there is something that you can or want to do, then do that. And I know that sounds negative, but it's if an actor cannot do anything else and they need to do this, then you are in the right place and you're in the right industry. And I just think if there is something that you can and see yourself doing, and that acting is just like an option, I could do that. I could, maybe want it. But if you don't really want it, then do something else, because it is so hard. And if your full heart isn't in it, then it's not going to get in it over time through all of the rejection and struggles. So I guess that would be my advice, especially to, parents. I have parents that come up and say they want their children, or the kids are saying they want to get into it. Make sure they really do, and they're willing to miss birthday parties, vacations, whatever, because graduations, because you will. That will come up, and you have to make a choice. And it's not fun as a parent if you have, if your child, to drag them away from that. Because you have to go do an audition that most likely is not going to go anywhere. Like, you're most likely not going to go book it, because those are the odds.
Yep.
And you still have to do it and want to do it. I mean, you're not always going to want to do everyone. Adults too, that just, I just really wanted to go to this, but I've got to do this audition. It comes up, but there'll be that. But overall, that's kind of like a gauge of whether, if you're willing to miss those big things and you're not going to get FOMO about missing them, then your heart is in it, and you're in the right industry. So.
Got it. Awesome. Dayla McClincy, classic talent. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're
It's
so
been fun,
welcome.
so.
Awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so you can catch the show every single week where we are bringing you new industry pros to help move you forward in your journey. If you haven't left us a review, please do. It really does help the podcast so much. So thank you so much for being here. We'll see you on the next one, everyone. Bye.